Hello, 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 hello. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode, new series, mini-season, whatever you want to call it, of SimCity. Yes, I have missed doing this game, and I'm just going to begin a new city today just because, I don't know. Of course, I could always work on a new Tran tour, or I could go to the main region and I could continue on Tom Hanks, or any number of other city projects that are ongoing. But, you know what? I've had an urge just to come on here and screw around with something, and, you know, people have been wanting to see SimCity from me, so I decided I'd come to this map where there is plenty of room and plenty of these big squares, and I'm going to take this square here that borders all three of the cities that we have in this region so far, and we are just going to go ahead and make a new city. So, the idea that I've been itching to do is to make a city, and this is a sort of a combination of several suggestions that I've been given. People have been saying make a mountain city, you know, they've been saying things with mountains, rivers, etc., hills. So what I want to do is I want to take this plot of land. I want to make a sort of a plateau in the middle of sorts and have a moat around the edge. That is my plan. So, yeah. That's my plan, and if you don't like it, you can express your views in the comments, I suppose. I was going to say GTFO, but, you know, whatever. You have as much right to hang around as anyone. So we'll start with our moat, which will be this craggly, round thing. As you can see, we do have our road connections to Baltimore down there and up there to the city that I can't remember how to pronounce. So, yeah, we're just going to casually go on doing this because I like, you know what they say about art. Art is often the practice of overcoming limitations, or however that saying goes. And one major limitation, or one thing about this, is when you start with a big flat world like this, a big flat map, a lot of people might see infinite potential. And I do see infinite potential, but I also see something else, which is the sort of boredom. You know, I see blandness. So what I like to do is do things that will make things a little bit more challenging. Add some rivers, add some hills, and go along with it, you know? Makes things more interesting either. Also, either, what am I saying? Okay, yeah, I forgot when you when you zoom out, the holes get deeper. Remember that, kids? When you zoom out, holes get deeper. So there's outlets here, so we can pretend that this is a river that just has a appendage on it or something. And these ends do not connect with any of the other areas. Highlight. Oh, I just want to make sure the areas over here are, yep, connected to the cities that we already have are still normal. And when I say a plateau, I don't mean one perfectly flat plateau. You know, I mean sort of like a interesting series of hills that basically amount to one big hill in the center. So So this might be a little bit difficult to make. I mean, the exact idea I had in mind was one plateau, but it is going to prove to be difficult. But then again, we do have the quick level brush. It does wonders for that. So ignore everything I just said, because quick level brush takes care of that. And I like this idea of it being stepped, you know, of it being. Maybe we can level things like that. Yes, we will alternate between the roughness of the mesa and hill generation and the softness of the plains. Because that will be nice. And I like the idea of sheer cliffs. Isn't that an option? Yeah, cliffs. Although in my opinion the cliffs tool doesn't necessarily create the best cliffs. It just sort of creates these ridges. Alright, let's see. Plateau. I'm going to have to ask someone who knows French or something, but plateau sounds like it comes from French. Yes, I go to plateau. I'm not going to attempt a French accent. It's just as bad as every other accent I've ever tried to attempt. So, yes, not going to try that. The plateau. Yes, this plateau is very plateau. Ho ho ho. Okay. Enough embarrassing myself. Well, no, it's not embarrassing. You have to be capable of feeling shame to be embarrassed. So, yes. As I like to say, I was born without the shame gland. Yes, no shame here. So, my idea was like this really high plateau with only one highway to get in. But most likely this will be a place that has several ways up. Alright. Actually, this mesa tool creates better cliffs than the cliff tools. And I guess I can't really blame them for that. Oh, I like this over here. I like this edge. It's kind of funny how like the river, like in the middle, it's like a tumor almost growing out of the land here. I mean, this edge I have to keep relatively flat, but the other ends I can do some things. Don't worry, I will dig out the river. Not that you were worried about it, but you know. For aesthetic purposes, I will be digging out that river. In fact, you know, these sides don't connect to anything that's been built yet. Let's make them high. Yes. We can have our series of mesas. I can call this we'll call this area the cooking sheet because it looks like an assortment of muffins over here, which is pretty cool. Because after all, you don't know nothing until you're down on a muffin, and then you'll be sure to change your ways. Or something. Okay. So there we go. Raising our heights over here. Yeah, flatness is boring. With terrain and with girls. Hey. Some of the time anyway, not always. It depends. But that is up to a personal choice. So we'll make a hill here. It actually does make like a on the one side, so I guess I can't be entirely critical of the cliff tool because it worked over there. Okay. So let's flip ourselves around. Cliffy. It's funny how they make ridges, but it usually but doesn't always go in the direction of the brush. So it is quite unpredictable. Here, look at that. We got sheer cliff faces on that side, and I am starting to like how this is turning out. Just because this is SimCity 4 and this is Windows 7, I'm going to save often, as our good friend the Big D, otherwise known as Dwyron, likes to say. It's a very good piece of thing. Lol, I am sitting after Ethan. Who's Ethan? Oh, he's nobody. He doesn't count. Okay. Anyway, we are going to... You know what? Hell with it. Shallow cannon. I want like a steep cannon. Well, I guess cannon is steep cannon, sort of. Canyon, lined with cliffs. For some reason, I thought there was an option called steep canyon, but I guess not. And maybe I shouldn't rotate that direction. Actually, no matter what direction I rotate, it's kind of hard to see the river. Where was I? I've lost my place. Okay. I like the idea of the river snaking through. But I did like that little outcropping. Let's see here. There we go. That's beauteous. It is very beauteous. Okay, generally things are not too bad with the river. It gets a little bit narrow here, so I'll have to dig that out. But yeah, I do like this scenery. It doesn't make too much sense geologically, but you know, hell, this is fantasy. This is something that we have created. Like, the world is literally coming apart, which reminds me very strongly of Stephen King's Dark Tower series, which I have just finished reading for the first time. I do recommend it. And one of the interesting things about that is that the world is literally coming apart.